starting off with leg extensions today. Yeah. I do have leg extensions on both leg days. The other leg day later in the week, where I'm doing squat, press, and stiff leg deadlifts, I'm going heavier on leg extensions because I don't have as much quad bias work on that day. But because I have hack squats in this session, I'm going a little bit higher in the rep range. So going more like 10 to 15 reps rather than 6 to 12, which is what I do later in the week. Even though it's lighter though, still want to train hard. So they're going to be hard sets, just hard sets in a higher rep range, essentially. Yeah. Leg extensions, then into leg curls, then into hack squats, then upstairs into abductors, then back downstairs into glute extensions, and then back upstairs into biceps. Maybe I'll do biceps before I come down and do glute extensions anyways. Depending on how lazy I'm feeling. Let's just put it that way. My knees have been feeling a bit average lately, so I'm hoping that they hold up today and feel a little bit better. Otherwise, I might have to modify hack squats. Either do less volume or less load with a higher rep range. So usually I start this session off with calf raises, but lately what I've been doing is kind of what I was doing last year, which is I'm doing my calf raises after my cardio in the morning when I come to the gym and do my fast cardio. So when I get up, provided that I don't deviate from my schedule, which I have been doing a bit lately, I get up at 4:30, get ready for the gym. When Michaela trains, I do my cardio and steps. So around 5 to 6 a.m., I'm doing cardio and steps. And usually what I do is, because I'll have a little bit of spare time, when I'm in the gym for that, I'll just tag my 3 sets of calf raises onto the end of my first visit to the gym. So no calves today. I did them yesterday. My feet were a little bit too wide in that first set, I think. It felt a little bit funny, so I'm going to try to keep my feet a little bit closer than this one. Oh. Now, I don't want to jinx myself, but these are actually feeling pretty good today. So I have high hopes for hack squats later in the session. Now that I've said that, I'll probably jinx myself though. We'll see. All right. 6 to 12 reps, nice and low on the rep range, which means a full stack for me. Okay, full stack, 6 to 12 reps, nice and heavy on this exercise. Now, mind you, even though I am doing the full stack, I'd say I've got a solid 2 or 3 months of continual progression at this weight before I require any additional load on this movement. And I think that's an important take home. You don't need to increase weight as frequently as you might think you need to in order to progress in your training and progress your physique. I think a lot of the time it's easy to get caught up in the misconception that progressive overload is what drives muscle growth, whereas you need to kind of reframe it and look at it in a sense of progressive overload is the byproduct of muscle growth. So when muscle growth occurs over an extended period of time, it facilitates in your ability to overload that muscle with more weight. So it's kind of like the other way around to what a lot of the time people perceive it as being. So yes, you want to be progressing your training, but no, you don't want to be sacrificing form, execution, technical proficiency, rep consistency, whether that be the range of motion, the tempo, for the sake of being able to add more load to the bar or to the machine. You only want to escalate the load when absolutely necessary. And the way I see it is you want to be able to own the weight that you're using. And when you can own the weight that you're using, when you can max out the rep range on every single working set that you have with a given load and still have a couple reps in your tank, that's when you add more weight. You don't add more weight just because you manage to really scrape out the max of the rep range with all of your sets. If it looked borderline ugly, you probably have a few solid weeks of sitting at that weight and letting it, I guess you could say, marinate, so to speak, before you need to add more weight. Anyway, enough rambling. 2 reps down from the last set. Definitely a lot of fatigue now. Oh, final set, time packs. You know what? I think I've actually figured out why these are hurting so much lately. Feels like I've had this kind of like persistent knot in my my right quad. I think I've actually partially torn it. So we'll find out. I'll do a bit more warming up, and I know what a torn muscle feels like. So if it is torn, I'll just do like light kind of deload work on these today. Just get some blood flow in there. I won't push it, and then just move on to glute extensions and biceps. But yeah, it is what it is. No point complaining. Just do what is necessary and get back to it. Definitely noticing a bit of a disparity in my strength on these today compared to when I do them at the start of the session versus toward the end. Probably about 1 or 2 reps weaker, which is pretty conservative, to be fair. I was expecting a bigger disparity in all fairness, but yeah. All right, one more set of these. Only 2 sets of these because whenever you do a squatting pattern, your adductors get hit a little bit as well to a degree. So you don't really need to overdo the direct adductor work, in my opinion, especially if you're hitting them directly twice a week, which I am. So 2 sets will suffice. But I will say this, I'm noticing a bit of a gap in my strength on these compared to when I normally do them at the start of the session. Like in my last block, I was doing them towards the start of the session, and I'd say I'm a good rep or two stronger if I do them at the beginning of the session, which is, in all fairness, a pretty conservative disparity in strength. I was expecting a bigger difference, but to only lose 1 or 2 reps at the same load is pretty decent, in my opinion. Time for biceps. Now, I've already gone over the reason why I use this band in the past before, but I'll mention it again just in case you aren't aware. It just helps me alleviate the burden of actually holding the weight so I can focus on training the target muscle, the glutes and the hamstrings. So yeah, if you ever struggle with focusing more on holding onto the dumbbells or the weight, it being the rate limiting factor for how far you can take this exercise versus actually having your glutes and your hamstrings fail first or give out, then I definitely recommend giving this a go. Oh, God.